So I've got about 4 stacks of yellow poplar I got from a local sawyer, using the tractor to bring them up here. We're working up by the house because I got the spray foam guy spraying right now. So we're bringing one load, sorting through them. If they're cupped, we're ripping that cup down the middle to make the boards flatter. We're going to keep this rough, so I'm not worried about them being perfect. Just, you know, trying to remove some of the air. Separating out the boards that just need to be jointed, and the boards that are live edge and really need to just have a straight edge, straight lined on it. We can do that with the track saw. And we're also organizing everything by widths, because I want to set up the gang saw on my Woodmaster to, you know, rip to consistent width. So we're going to sort these out so that way I can do one setup and we have all the boards ready to go through that width, and we can adjust it, run the next batch, adjust it, so on. And that's what we're doing for now. So my Woodmaster planer is more than just a planer. It's got a bunch of things it does. One of the things is gang saw, which I just did the 14-inch boards on. Really, I was just using it as a rip saw because gang saw would imply cutting more than one board. I have 2 blades, so you know you could do 2 to 3 boards at one pass, which would actually be gang sawing. Looks like I'm gonna have to loosen this up a ton more to get it off and move. But anyway, so that was the 14s. Now we're gonna go down to the 13-inch boards because we sorted all those boards 1 inch at a time. And the idea is, as I go narrower, each time I go narrower, I'll move the blades in. And some of those boards weren't perfectly straight. They kind of had a taper. But some of them were tapered enough that it didn't make sense to downgrade it from, you know, if half or 3/4 of the board could be a 7-inch board, I didn't want to mark it a 6-inch board. So I marked it as 7, and then what we'll do is as they come through, if they're tapered and some of the board is too narrow, we'll cross cut it then, throw it into the lower pile that it needs to be in, and then when we get to that pile, it'll get resawed or ripped down to that size. So that's kind of the idea. I'm gonna get these adjusted and probably call it a night, but in your time, time-lapse mode, I guess, is coming. So we finished pressure washing the things that need to be pressure washed, and all the boards got their ends squared off, so we're ready to start installing, almost. These 6x6s are what we're gonna go against. However, like these are 4x4s, not 6x6s, so they're set in. To confirm the distance, we used a board. Well, we cut this to fit up there. But yeah, we put against the 2 6x6s so we can measure our distance. There were a few places we had to do that to figure out how much we need to pad these out. Of course, this is just a 2x, so we're gonna put some 2xs here Now for our large open bays, obviously our wood is less than 12 feet wide. Also, in the corners where we're gonna meet, we need something to nail to. So we're gonna add 2x2s to the corners. That's why we chipped out the foam, and scraped the foam video, talk about all that and all the orange foam in case you're curious why that's there. That's a whole other story. But anyway, so I need some more support. So what we're gonna do is you can see there's a rim joist going around the top of the long sides. On the gabled ends, there's not, because that's up there to support the trusses. So I'm gonna add a faux rim joist. I mean, it's just another board, 2x8, 2x10, whatever that is, to go across. But I'm also gonna add some 2x in the middle, probably 3, to give me 4 bays, so 3-foot spacing. That'll be plenty of room to nail our boards on, and then I won't have to worry about the boards always meeting exactly where one of my supports are. If it floats in the middle, it's not gonna be more than a foot, foot and a half from a support, so we'll be good when we get there. So yeah, we're gonna start padding everything out and then putting up the walls finally. So I'm just kind of trying to finalize my plan of how I'm going to add these uprights. On the bottom, I'm going to put them on a bottom plate pressure treat because it's against concrete. Concrete wicks moisture. So if I didn't use pressure treat, eventually it's going to fail quicker because the concrete is going to pull moisture into it. From the inside to the outside is 12 feet. I'm just worried about inside to inside, but I'm going to round that up to 12. So if I'm doing 4 bays, that's 3 feet per bay. So my ground plate doesn't actually have to be the full distance. That's important because this foam, I'll have to chip out a whole bunch of foam to make that bottom plate go the whole way, but it only needs to be 6 feet actually. 3 feet in from that side, 3 feet in from this side. Stud, stud, stud. So I only need to do 6 feet. But I was gonna run the full distance because that helps keep me flush. But what I can do is to make sure the bottom's flush is I'll just take an extra board, put it against the fronts, and that'll give me a straight line that I can put my bottom plate against before I screw that to the concrete. I think that's what I'm gonna do. All right, so we're ready to start putting up the walling. You can kind of see what we did on most of the base sections that were totally clear. We've got these 3 added in to give us something to nail to, tied to the rim joist, and also on these gabled ends, you can see we added the rim joist that we could tie to. That's also going to give us a consistent height to raise all of our boards to, because otherwise there would have been this weird place where it ended on the gable sides. It wasn't the same. Now here where the horse stalls were, I wanted to do that, but we had these 4x6 posts, which I think they intended on doing walkouts from the stalls, but never finished that or something. So anyway, just up top, we just sistered a board on to this. We have a 2x2 behind this tied to the 4x6, and then we put the 2x4 on top of it. Then we added 1 2x4 in the middle, kind of like those walls, but a little bit different. You can see we just have a small T-block, so that way we could tap con it to the concrete, and then it's tied into the rim joists. Of course, on all the corners, because they're gonna meet at the corner, we had to do something because there's no way to secure it to the 6x6. So we've got these 2x2 posts that are all sistered on to give something to nail from each edge. The only thing left is I'm going to add some 2x to the inside of these doors just to give me something more to add some weather seal onto to tighten up these doors. And yeah, probably need to do something on the bottom there too now I think about it. But anyways, yeah, we're about ready to start putting up walling. I thought I was ready. Looks like I got a few more touches to do, but that's the general concept. And so yeah, montage mode for the walling. All the offcuts are really handy. I spaced these thinking that depending on where we hit, they wouldn't be very wobbly, but they still are kind of wobbly. But all these offcuts make that really easy because instead of them just getting burned, I can make a little splice. Way more rigid. Like a month later, we have some lights, we have heat, we have a tile floor, we have some machines. We're about to run electrical, and we still don't have these last few boards. So realize it's definitely time to go ahead and do these or they're never gonna get done. Let's wrap this up. Anyway, it's all done. Really love the way it looks. The big toss-up was between doing plywood or T111 and something like this. The reason I didn't want to do plywood is because it's all blonde. I didn't want a super blonde shop. And then you're like, look at that, Caleb. That's pretty blonde. T111 kind of gives you more of the rough barn look. However, when I was pricing it, and that was going to be a big play, T111 or plywood was going to run me about $1.25 a square foot. This stuff was actually only $1.50 a square foot, or board foot, which come out to about a square foot the way I'm using it. So it was only marginally more expensive, not counting for all the labor you saw that we put into making this come up. However, this isn't just my woodworking shop that I have a studio. I'm making a studio that is also my woodworking shop because videos are my business. So I really care about how this looks, and I wanted coming into this for it to be exactly what I want it to be forever, because I'm never gonna take the time to like shut down the shop, move half of it, and redo the walls. So I'm really pleased with this. T111 can look super awesome if you're looking for a more economical, faster way to do it. My buddy Chris over at Third Coast Craftsman recently put up the video on doing the T111 in his shop and painting it. Looks awesome. I'll have a link below for that. But I mean, look at this, it's beautiful. That's why I did it. My original thought was actually to do a very light gray stain on this just to bring it down so it wasn't quite as warm. However, once we got it up here, so much of the character of the board stayed. I'm fine with it and I'm good. What I'm probably gonna do though is come back and spot treat some of these really light boards just to overall tone it down. And also because I have the awesome gray tile floor from Husky and Home Depot, I've realized that gray walls, gray floor was just gonna be too much. So we're leaving that, but I'm really happy with the way it looks. And the big reason for doing a solid wall is anything I need to hang on the wall or like running all this electrical, there's no searching for studs or posts. We can just screw almost anything here and it's gonna be solid. I'm really happy with this. I'm excited to get some woodworking. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you learned something, were inspired, or at least entertained. And until next time, make time to make something. I got it. Go. I don't know if you're on any of the Facebook like beginner woodworking groups. Every week someone posts a picture of that.
Oh really?
Oh yeah, of like their tape measure on the saw just